All right, hey, welcome. Let's just jump right in. We're going to talk about something that can be, well, kind of tough. It's that feeling of having to stand for what you believe in when it feels like you are totally and completely alone. I mean, have you ever been there? You kind of look around the room or at your friend group and you're just thinking, is it just me? Am I the only one who sees this as off? It's this super isolating feeling, you know? Like you're fighting against the current while everyone else is just going with the flow. That's what we're getting into today. You know, when we think about courage in the Bible, our brains immediately go to these massive highlight reel moments. We picture Daniel in the lion's den, just hanging out, or Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego walking out of a literal furnace without even smelling like smoke. These are blockbuster movie scenes for sure. But here's the thing. That's not really where courage is built. Real courage, the kind that actually sticks, is forged in the little moments, in the quiet choices that nobody ever sees. The small no when temptation is easy. The act of integrity when the only person who will ever know is you and God. That's the real Jim.
Okay, check this out. Think about Peter walking on the water in Matthew 14. Yeah, he got scared. Yeah, he took his eyes off Jesus and started to sink. But he got out of the boat. That's the whole point. His faith wasn't perfect. It was messy, but it was real enough to get his feet wet. Faith isn't about having zero fear. It's about acting anyway.
And this verse from Hebrews just nails it. Faith is being sure of what you hope for and certain of what you can't see. It's basically trusting that all those little unseen choices you make, the ones nobody is giving you an award for, they actually matter. They have weight in a reality that's more real than the one we can touch. So where does this all go down? It's not some big future event. The real test, the real battleground, is your everyday life. It's the temptation test.
So let's look at Joseph in Egypt. I mean, talk about being alone. This guy is a slave in a foreign country. He's got no family, no friends, no backup. And on top of that, his boss's wife is hitting on him. And Genesis says this wasn't a one-time thing. It was a daily pressure campaign. The temptation was constant.
But listen to his response. Just listen. He doesn't say, "What will people think?" or "Man, I could get fired," or worse. His first immediate thought is, how could I do this against God? His whole world was oriented vertically. It was about God's perspective, not his circumstances.
And that's the whole ball game right there. For Joseph, this wasn't about damage control. It wasn't a pros and cons list. It was about one question. Whose approval am I living for? His integrity was rooted in what God thought, not what made him comfortable. Now, it's easy to hear that and think, yeah, well, that was Joseph. But there is a promise in the Bible that is for every single one of us in every temptation we could ever face. Man, this verse from 1 Corinthians is a game changer. It says that no temptation is a dead-end street. God is always faithful to provide an escape hatch, a way out, an off-ramp. Our job isn't to fight the temptation in our own strength, it's to look for the exit sign God has already put up.
Okay, so we see the problem, we feel the pressure. So, what do we actually do? Well, let's open up God's playbook and look at the actual strategy for this stuff.
First things first, you gotta know who you're playing for. You've got human approval over here. It's temporary, it changes with the wind, and it's based on what people can see. Then you've got God's approval over here. It's eternal, it's rock solid, and it's based on unseen faith. Choosing which column you live in is everything. And the good news is you're not going into this fight empty-handed. You have weapons. First, guard your heart because everything flows from it. Second, use the Bible like a sword. It's not a decoration, it's for offense and defense. Third, pray for courage, not just for the problem to disappear. And fourth, constantly remember God's track record. He's been faithful before, he'll be faithful again.
But look, having courage for a single moment is one thing. Having it for a lifetime? That's a whole different level. That's not just courage. That's endurance.
And can we just be real for a minute? Standing alone is tiring. It's draining to constantly be the one swimming upstream. If you just have these one-off bursts of courage without any real spiritual resilience, you are going to burn out. It's inevitable. But check out how God uses this whole process. This verse in Romans says that the struggle, the suffering, actually produces perseverance. And that perseverance forges character. And that character builds a hope that can't be shaken. So God's not wasting your struggle. He's actually using the pressure to forge something incredible inside of you. So how do we train for this? Here's a quick plan. 1.
Anchor your identity in Christ. Know who you are so the world can't tell you who you are. 2. Refresh your soul every single day. Get with God even for 5 minutes. 3. Rehearse God's faithfulness. Remind yourself of what He's done. And 4. Find your people. Standing alone doesn't mean being isolated. Find someone who gets it.
And here's the promise you hold on to when you feel like quitting. Don't get tired of doing the right thing. It might feel pointless right now, like you're getting nowhere, but God promises there's a harvest coming at the perfect time if you don't give up.
So, after all of that, the stories, the verses, the strategies, it all really boils down to this one simple thing. One single choice.
That one small choice, made when no one is looking. That decision to tell the truth, to act with integrity, to show kindness. It feels so small, maybe even insignificant in the moment, but those choices have an eternal ripple effect that we will never fully grasp on this side of heaven.
And this is the bottom line. This is what you have to tattoo on your brain. When you feel unseen, remember, God sees. When you feel too weak to keep going, remember, God strengthens. And when you feel like you're missing out, remember, God rewards. It is that simple.
So, I want to leave you with this question. Forget about the big, heroic moment. What's the one small, quiet, unseen choice that you know you need to make for God this week? What's your battleground? Because that's where it all begins. That's where courage gets real. And that's a choice that will echo forever.